was standing ready. Lord, please, I could take a guess. Oh, would you please? We are ready. I'm lifted by the spirits of peace. I guess we're never going home. Never joining St. John. Could never be alone. Well, I guess I'm well adjusted, but the pains they never leave, except for my feet. I keep my arms in my suitcases and my shoulders halfway down to the ground.
All right. Welcome to the Slackline. We are here for our fourth episode. We are here with once again with Jay Wow.
Wow.
And the boss.
The boss is coming.
That's a made-up dumb fairy tale name, you.
And we are here with Oz Garip.
How are you guys?
Garip, is that?
Yeah,
is that?
yeah, it's perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Oz?
Yeah.
Is that a short for anything? Oz?
Yeah, like normally it's like O's, but like in Canada they like struggling to say it. So it's like the first time I go on stage, the guy who write down the name, like the headliner, it was at Left Lines in 2011, I guess. The first time I went on stage, and the guy just write down the name and he couldn't pronounce it. He said like, I'm just gonna go with Oz, like Wizard of Oz. I was like, that works. Yeah. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, you
Sorry.
can hold it
Yeah.
if you want. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's up to you. Yeah. So is it actually? It's OGUZ,
Yeah, OGUZ, yeah.
but is it actually pronounced like Oz?
Like Oz, like it's like
Oz.
super close to like
Okay.
Oz, so like
Okay.
people just go with Oz, yeah.
Yeah, that works. That
Yeah.
works. Cool. All right. Yeah, Oz is here. He's a comedian, actor, filmmaker, broadcaster, bunch of media related stuff. And he's just taken a trip to NYC to peruse the comedy scene there, and we'll get into that a little bit. He's been in Canada. How long you been in Canada?
I've just finished my 7th year in here. Yeah.
7th year in
Yeah.
Canada, and you were in New Zealand for a little while
Yeah,
too.
I went to New Zealand for 6 months to study like filmmaking.
Cool.
Yeah.
And originally from Turkey,
Yes.
and you're heading back there soon.
Yeah, end of November I will be there.
Yeah. And what city are you from in Turkey again?
Izmir is a West Coast city.
Yeah. And you mentioned your parents are they're retired out there. You're going to be living with them for like
Yeah.
about a year before you come back here.
Yes. They are just like they are having fun, like booze and barbecue every day because they're like a coast city, so they are comfortable. So I want to just like take a piece of that comfort.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do while you're home for the year?
Like first, like before, like I live here, like I already bought a boat, but it's like messed up boat, so I'm just gonna work on that.
Nice.
For like a couple months, I guess. And after that, probably I will just like sail and like do fishing.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, probably get nice. I will do like bartender job, cause before I like every summer normally I go back Turkey, but last 2 years I couldn't do that. Normally when I go back, I just like do like bartending, cause like that bar is like kind of like a family like environment.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they just like I drink there and like do like work, so it's fun.
Oh, you kind of grow up around the bar, sort
Yeah.
of, and worked there while you
Yeah.
were a kid and
It's like
stuff. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, people over there is like just like fun, family, so it's always fun.
Nice.
Going back there, yeah.
Nice. And the boat, so is it a sailboat?
Yeah, it's like a 4-meter like little boat, like fishing boat. But it's like kind of like messed up now. The like owner was selling like real like cheap price. I was like, I can work on that.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's just like fun. Yeah.
So no motor or anything like that?
Oh, I will buy like a small one.
Oh, okay, just in case.
Yeah, just in case. Agency is like a really big waves and shit,
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
like probably motor will be like nice.
Cool. You mentioned. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, you say you like fishing as well.
Yes,
So-
like I like first I was like diving with like the harpoon with my father when I
Oh,
was like
what?
yeah.
What?
So like it was always fun.
That's badass, man. So you don't fish with a rod, you fish with a fucking spear?
No, I actually like didn't do that like maybe like 2 years ago. I just first time I do with like a rod. I was like,
What?
that's not fun at all.
No, I guess not when you're
With
used
harpoon,
to
yeah, it's
hunting them with your bare hands.
And
But do you have to dive to?
yeah, you need to like with like snorkel. You don't need to like use like a tube or something. And you're like, I don't know, like you call like my harpoon is like it's like muscle related, so you just like pull it back. It's like a tree like arrow on it. It's like a gun,
Like a crossbow, kind of.
like a crossbow. Yeah.
That is so cool.
So me and my father did that for years, and like our favorite time like was doing that is like nighttime, cause like we have like big flashlights for like undersea. So when you put that flashlight on a fish, they just like
They
stone
freeze.
cold. Yeah, they freeze. So it's kind of like cheating, but like nighttime is always fun, cause it's scary. Like
Man, I would
scary.
shit my pants doing that.
I almost did shit my pants when I did that.
That sounds so cool, man. At night, you guys got balls. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Is there dangerous fish around there that you got to be afraid of?
Or like they are not like sharks like
No.
where we are like diving, but there are some like fish like actually I don't know the name like what you call in English, but there's like a one with like the it's kind of like a snake, like
Okay,
but
like an
it's,
eel.
yeah, but like the fucking mouth of that fish is just like the teeth and shit. And they are like way like stronger like chin than a dog. So if they grab your leg, if they want to like have a bite, they will take it. Like you can't do any shit about that. Yeah.
Oh fuck, man, that's a little scary. Man, that is cool. That's an interesting little side hobby of yours.
Yeah, I think I'm like when I get in older, like now I'm on a boat. I don't want to dive around.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So my knowledge of fishing is Canadian fishing, which is
white people fishing.
mostly
Yeah.
napping.
Yeah.
Actually,
Is it
it's
on
the only
ice?
it's the only time you can call something a sport when you just sit around and take a 3-hour nap, 6-hour nap, 12-hour nap.
Is the one in that you did it on like the hole on in the ice or?
No. Well, no. Like, I mean, I've done ice fishing before. It's not like a very common thing. It kind of sucks ice fishing because I mean, some people like it. You can build like cabins. Some people build like
I heard,
cabins
it's,
on
like, a
ice
good,
and
like,
stuff.
Weekend, like
Yeah, and you can like people build like
Yes.
nice little huts around, and you go out with the boys and stuff. I haven't really done like a really nice ice fishing trip like that. But when we were like, I mean, still to this day. But yeah, when we were younger, and we would go up to like Saskatchewan, which is middle province for you guys that aren't from here. I mean, you've been here for 7 years, so I should hope you know where Saskatchewan is. But that's where my family's from, and there's a lot of lakes and stuff up there, lots of lake fish, and so yeah, that was pretty much my childhood vacations were camping and fishing up there.
I was so disappointed when I went ice fishing in Montreal like 6 years ago. I was with my buddy, and we were in Montreal to study French and drink wine. We ended up probably drinking more wine than learning French. But
Je m'appelle Jean.
Je m'appelle Juan, and that's probably it. And we were like, yeah, man, let's go this fish on the ice thing. It's I mean, we always see in the TV that they make like the hole, in the ice, and it's so nice, and we'll be there, just like two guys in the wild fishing. And then we arrive, and they have those cabins built on the thing.
Yeah.
And the river was just passing below, and we were facing the wall. We were fishing while facing the wall. I was like, what the fuck is that, man? I mean, and they have like the ice stove to keep the cabin warm.
Yeah.
And we were just, like fishing, looking at that. So at one point, we just gave up and started drinking wine.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And
Well, I mean, that's a big part of fishing, regardless of the scenery.
Yeah, drinking is always
Not necessarily wine. We usually don't bring wine on the fishing trip because it's kind of hard to manage with cups and stuff. It's usually beer.
Cups?
Cups?
Oh, cups.
Cups.
Oh, no, we were drinking out of the bottle.
Oh yeah, that works too. But you
Either
kind of want to
way.
have your own drink in hand. I mean, fishing in Canada, you can drink with a beer in hand, or you can fish with a beer in hand. But no, we got to take you up to the woods, man. Sit on a lake and see some of the beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
Watch the sunset
I
while you
like to,
fish.
like-
That's the way to do it for sure.
Because Canada.
If you're not gonna fucking dive and harpoon them like a badass,
No.
That's it. Yeah,
that
that's
sounds
the
like
next level.
the way to do it. If you're
It's always fun to
Yeah.
you guys like should try. Yeah.
No,
yeah, that does sound like fun.
Yeah.
we were talking a little bit before here, and you told us that you already did so many things that I think that I have to have another life to catch up with you. I mean, you're doing business here, and then you study film, and
Okay,
then
yeah.
you study acting, and
I
then
came here, like-
communication. I mean, how old are you? 60?
That's the thing. Like, I'm 25. I came here when I was like 17.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, 18.
Okay.
2010. For the ESL class.
Okay.
In Vancouver Island, Nanaima. So the first day I went to ESL class, and I was like, I'm not like a racist, but like I was like, okay, we are in Canada. Why I'm like still with like Arabics and like Chinese people, and like we can like communicate because like we are all in ESL. But like I study like English in Turkey, so I kind of like communicate with people. But
Well-
like in the class, we can like understand each other. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like study ESL. I moved to Vancouver in January, and I started like just like take the IELTS and go to like the college for business, like 2 years. And like the first year of my business, my writing was really shit, and my writing teacher like wants me to like write a diary so I can work on my like writing skills and like just like practicing. And I said like, yeah, I'm not gonna write a diary because I'm not a girl. Yeah, I was kind of sexist, I guess, like that. So I write like little stories.
What's the difference between writing little stories and writing in a diary?
Because little stories, like you just use your mind and like you're still creative, like diary, like what I'm gonna do, like I was like checking that girl, I just go like what I'm gonna write like on a diary, like.
There's no difference, man. Diary is just a mind dump. Doesn't matter
So
what
you
kind.
you like to like you are writing your diary.
Yeah, these are like I got like 6
Also,
different
that's why
books
your
around.
reaction was like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got like 6 different books around that are all like that just full of pages of like
I'd
mind
like-
dump shit.
If you put like your opinions and ideas, that's cool.
Yeah.
But like I woke up at 8. I ate that.
No, yeah,
Like,
well,
like,
yeah.
no.
I mean, whatever floats people's boat, I guess. But
So
yeah,
I wrote like little stories, like fun stories, and I gave that like book to like my writing teacher, and he didn't tell me. He sent that to like his friend, who's like a comedy like a club owner,
okay.
and they call me from Left Lines. They say like, you wanted to come for like open mic, cause like we like your stories if you want to tell. I was like, I never like I love to watch like comedy, like stand-up comedy, but I never like imagine myself being on stage and doing like stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
So I went there, and like it was really shit. Like my first time, I remember, oh my god, it was horrific. Cause I was like 19 years old at the time, and I was just like talking about like dicks
Yeah.
and shit. Like there's
Yeah.
no clever stuff and shit. Still like probably it's not clever yet, but yeah, like it was like it was bad.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I enjoy like being on stage,
Right.
and like seeing those people like having like laugh and shit. I was like, I'm gonna do that shit, and after that, I just like keep doing it. It was fun. So yeah, like 2 years later, because of like comedy, I said like, oh, maybe I should like do something like media related. So I go to like the communication with a different school for 2 years, and after that, I was like getting into like that business. I was like, yeah, communication is not gonna make it. So I went to New Zealand for filmmaking, cause like the film is always like one of my like interests, but I want to learn it like how.
Why did you went to New Zealand?
Oh, the
Because of
thing
film?
is,
a
like-
lot of people come here. Because
Yeah,
of film
at that
and-
time, like that was like my 4th and 5th year in Canada. I was like, I can take a break and like see like a new like place. And like New Zealand was like a growing like film industry there because of the Lord of the Rings. Everything is like film related.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I can like take a shot in there. And I was doing comedy in there too. And like New Zealand comedy scene is way different.
It's probably pretty good though. Hey, they got
It's-
kind of a dry, funny
yeah.
sense of humor.
Like,
yeah.
but like they are like fun people. Like the first time I was on stage in there, I was really drunk. The set was good, but I was drunk.
How do you
so-
know it was good then?
Yeah, I have the video,
Oh, okay.
so I can still like hear like people's laughing. So like yeah, I say some like horrific shit maybe for like Canadians, like they are not gonna be like really okay with it, cause like yeah, for Canada now it's like maybe like growing, but like it used to be like you need to be really careful like what you say on stage.
Really? Even
Yeah,
at a
'cause, like-
comedy set?
Yeah, like because I know people like sued by like audience because like they say something like offensive. They go to court and like that comedian like lose money. I was like, how the fuck that's possible, man? Like it's like you made a joke and like you lose money like because of like some lesbian couple, I guess. Anyway, in New Zealand, I was like the things I was saying like maybe like more offensive like than here, but they took it really well. And like and the thing is, people like buy you beer after the set. Yeah. I was just drinking beer at the bar of the club.
Yeah.
And people just like, hey man, that was a great set. I was like, oh my god, maybe I should stay here. Like it was fun. So yeah, I came back here to like acting essentials at VFS to just know what's going on like front of the camera, not just want to become like an actor. But like acting is always help for like the comedy too, because on stage you need to use your like body and like your mimics and shit.
For sure.
And after that, I want to do like broadcasting, so I can be like related to those stuff and like radio. So I did that too. And now, yeah, after I like next September, I will come back here to finish business.
Okay.
How I started. Yeah.
Nice. You mentioned a few minutes ago.
3. Toast.
Oh, we were interrupted by the mic test. Shoot. We this is where we go back into last week and talk about just recap any of our previous opinions and see if they are our levels are good or if they are toast. And I don't know. I listened to the podcast as I was editing it, and I usually come up with a few things that I was like, "Ooh, Matt, you should probably cut that out." But yeah, we don't really cut content, so we usually go back and see if there's something we can try and dance our way around at something that maybe we said that was a little offside. But I don't know. Last week it seemed pretty clean. Seemed not clean necessarily, but as far as our opinions and our levels, I didn't go back and have any cringeworthy moments myself. I don't think. Maybe somebody out there could tell me differently. But what about you? What about you, JWoww?
Well, I think that we also didn't have like a subject that was so borderline to talk about it. You know, we were talking more about music and yeah, maybe politics.
Yeah, we got into politics quite a bit at the end of it.
Yeah.
But it might be just because we all kind of are on the same side of a lot of that stuff. And so, I mean, it's hard not to sound sane when talking about some of the stuff that goes on and just be like, this is craziness. Yeah. And it's pretty easy to juxtapose a pretty sane person with somebody that is way out to lunch on their political opinions because of, I mean, things like we talked about, you know, fake news and propaganda and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting chat for sure. We had my buddy Stu on, who is from his parents are from England, and he spent the last 2 years there and went through all the Brexit stuff, so he had some interesting things to say about that. And we had Axel Boss, aka Doyle, on to share some tunes, and he played a live tune. It was really good. And I think you saw him this week, didn't you?
Yeah, it was great. I went with some friends yesterday to Chickpea to see Axel play. You know Axel, right? You probably do.
Axel Boss?
Axel Boss?
Swedish guy, actor, musician. He's going to VFS right now for acting. You probably met him on.
But like maybe I met him.
Probably met him on the beach a couple times.
Yeah.
We all met each other on the beach a few times.
Anyway, Axel was fantastic. He played for half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. But beautiful, man, beautiful. And even the people that didn't know him, like actually the only people that the people that didn't know him wanted to know him. Right. The guys that were on the bar, they actually asked for his SoundCloud for us.
Nice.
So yeah, his music is pretty. It's amazing. It's nice.
Yeah.
He's coming up with some cool shit, man.
Yeah, we'll send you his way for sure when we're done here. That's Doyle. You can find him. He's the Irrelevant on Instagram and Doyle on SoundCloud, I think.
Yeah, and Axel for us.
And he's
Carl
Bo Rod on Facebook. He's got a bunch of different personas. I think the guy might have a multiple disorder, personality disorder.
I think he's right, man. He's just trying like different ways to make success with this. Like if one of those,
that's because if you ever tell him that you should go like,
he has more chances.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's funny. Yeah, so we heard from Axel. He's got some really good music out there, and yeah, if you want to check him out, that'd be cool.
And by the way, we're starting. We're just gonna. I talked to you last week.
Right.
We're gonna start some jam sessions to film some pocket shows.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and the first one's gonna be Axel. So probably next month we're gonna organize that and film him in the living room. We would like to have some people come over, have some beer, listen to some of
That's
the tunes.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Like an afternoon of
Yeah,
film.
good session.
and
And just like with people around. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's always good. It's always good.
I'm gonna talk more about this later on the show when we have everything scheduled.
Yeah. It was awesome to hear some of Axel's music live. I mean, we just handed him the guitar in while he was sitting there, and he played a tune, and half of it was like the words, anyways, were just made up off the top of his head. And if you listen back to it, you can hear him talking about Boris and Joao and funny stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting, the whole being on stage thing. It's something like, you know, across all those types of art forms, whether it's like kind of stand-up comedy or musician. It's always better to not better, but it's nice to have the support of your friends and family and whatnot. But when somebody that you don't know, you see genuinely enjoy what you're doing, and like even like ask you for your CD, or like are dancing in front of you or laughing to a set or something like that, like it breeds something in you. It breeds a fire in you that is just like, yes. I mean, I remember being a musician and seeing these guys dance, like just fucking headbanging and having the best time of their lives, like right in front of us on stage, and being like, I don't have no clue who that guy is. And it is awesome that he's loving the music so much. So yeah, it's
That's a good part about art, though. Like you share like things.
absolutely,
Like the people you don't know.
for sure.
That's a cool thing about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's it for a test.
Yeah, that's it for the mic test, I think. And usually after that, I think we usually slip into a break here. And we'll take 5 or 15, or you won't know, because I'll just play 30 seconds of a song, and and we'll be right back into it. So we'll see you guys after the break.
Should prevail, but here we sit on the fence, trying to make a sale, but you won't buy it, not even some. And my quick tongue can make the words leave my mouth too early. They're long gone, and now you've heard them come out wrong. Send me home, I won't go. Send me home. Send me home. No, I won't go. Send me
Hello. Welcome
Right,
back.
right.
Welcome back. We are here on the Slack line with Jay Wow
Wow.
and the boss.
That's a made-up dumb fairy tale name, you
And the spider is on my soundboard.
Wow,
Oh my god.
you're getting way better. On
Is
that
there more than one of these things?
buttons thing, Matt?
Yeah, I almost missed it again. And you see, I had to reach over and...
Wow.
Anyways.
You're almost a professional now.
We are here with Garip.
How are you guys?
He is a comedian from Turkey. Comedian, actor, filmmaker. What else? What else
I
is
think-
your Instagram profile say?
Oh, it says like "fuck off" in Chinese.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah, cause like I have like private accounts, so you know I was like click on like see translation.
Oh.
Just say like fuck off.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah. I love to surprise people.
Okay. Yeah. So Oz was recently on a trip through New York City.
Yes.
Checking out some of the comedy scene there, and you did have a set, but didn't end up doing it, right?
Like, I supposed to do one set, but like I was so caught up with city, cause like every day something's going on in that goddamn city. Like
Yeah.
you can't even like, and like the guy in the comedy club like told me like just fucking like text me when you are here, so you are in. I was like cool. The first day I arrived like 6 p.m. I literally like get off the plane, take a taxi, leave my like bag, and go to the city to Comedy Cellar to watch comedians. And like Comedy Cellar is like a different place, man. Like
Yeah.
it's like a comedy club, just like comedy. Like it's like comedy. Like it's like you can feel it like when you get
Yeah.
there. And all I do is like look at the stage. I was like, I'm gonna do that. Like
Yeah.
I'm just like.
Because you're used to being in spaces that are probably made for like bands or
Yeah,
like
dude, I
even
was-
like not a stage
Yeah,
or
like,
something.
I remember like we did like a comedy like in like the basement of like a pizza place. Like yeah, I did like in Turkey I did like at my bar, which that's the problem like cause like the band was before me
Right.
and like people like were already like fucked up, they were like drunk and they were just like singing songs. So after the band, like the break time, I just go on the stage and like start doing jokes. And like one woman came to stage and say like, can you play like Frank Sinatra, No Woman No Cry? I was like,
What?
No
sorry.
Woman, No Cry?
Yeah, I
Frank
said, like,
Sinatra?
Yeah, I was like, I don't have a joke about that, sorry. And like it was
I
like,
am not the DJ.
Yeah, it was weird because like people already like in the zone for like music.
Well, that's a weird like whoever managed that set is at fault there. Like you gotta like you don't put comedy acts after
Yeah,
music.
and it was like a break. I was like, who the
Like-
fuck's gonna love? Like the last song was like everyone like make everyone cry. Like you put like so much pressure on me. So yeah, that was like another fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I did like weird places. Like I did like in Vancouver I did like a one set at like the back room of like a bar, so people were watching like Sunday Night Football
Mm-hmm.
with like loud and shit. We were like try to do comedy. Like yeah, but it's always fun. Like it's all about like the audience. You know,
Right.
it's not even like the comedian. Like it's like, of course comedian needs to be funny,
Mm-hmm.
but that's like the first rule. But or if like audience is like locked up and in the zone, you can do it like anywhere
Right.
you want to. Yeah.
So, us. I was willing to ask you how scary it is to put yourself in the stand-up comedy place and just
yeah.
like try to make people laugh.
The scary part, like first it was cause like like English is not my first language,
Right.
so I was like, okay, let's try. But like when you're on stage, like you just like look, like people just look at you like, make me laugh, motherfucker. Like I'm waiting, like, and you need to say something to like make them laugh, and you only have like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck you gonna do in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
First you thought that, but after that you just like aware of it and you just like you embrace it, like, cause like if you don't. I always think like nervous like is part of the comedy. Like you shouldn't be like super relaxed, like cause like it's become like monotone. Then you can like give the feelings to the audience when you like telling a story about like joke. Now like only thing like it's not even like my fear. It's like when I do like some jokes, I'm like okay, how people gonna like take it? Cause like now my jokes is like cause like I'm Turkish, right? So like I'm Middle Eastern with different like skin color and shit, like cause my skin color is not white or black, it's just like official like terrorist color now. Yeah. So like
I mean, we're not far off.
yeah. I think I'm gonna go like full Michael Jackson at some point. So yeah, like
There's no sun here, that's why.
like you need to like you like way you look at things is not like the way other people look at things, because like your culture, your like everything, like background, like affects. So it's like some point like that make me like nervous. I was like, so how the audience gonna take this? But not anymore. Like I just say stuff. If they love, it's good. If they not, what can I do about
How often are you? Because sometimes the joke just doesn't work, right?
it? Yeah.
But sometimes maybe people aren't just getting it, and I mean, especially when you're doing a joke for like 5 or 6 people in
Yeah.
the bottom of a pizza
Yeah.
joint or something. Maybe your joke is funny, and these people are just not the
like
audience
I said,
for
like
it.
it's audience based, like
Yeah.
a joke. But like if you're doing like the comedy like the 50 people, 100 people,
Yeah.
and if the jokes just like have like the thing for me is like I never do the same jokes, never. Like even it's like 5 minutes set, I always try to change my jokes, cause I'm doing comedy for myself first. Like I need to enjoy it. Like if I do the same jokes like twice, which normally you should do the jokes which like the ones like working.
But you have all those things like filmed and stuff too, right? So you have all that stuff logged basically for yourself.
Yeah, if I ever need to do like 30 minutes, an hour,
Yeah.
I can like collect those jokes
Right.
and do it. But like for me, it's like every night is like a like you try out like your jokes, and it's like good, like
Right.
cause now I don't like I'm not like young anymore, like to be upset about like cause like my ego is like a right, like, so I don't go like fuck.
Yeah.
I don't go
Screw
like,
you, people. I'm
yeah.
funny. Fuck you.
Now if people don't laugh, I was like, yeah, that was like shitty set. So
Yeah.
what? Like
Yeah.
I just-
So get better.
yeah.
Yeah.
Would you agree that comedy doesn't lie? Because you know you can even like in films you can make this beautiful drama or whatever, and it's so subjective. But if you make a comedy and people don't laugh, you know, it's just not funny.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
cause like okay, like with movies, like it's it's always universal messages, like the like drama, like the fun, like if like in a comedy movie, like look at Adam Sandler movies, it's always like stupid shit, but at some point in that like 90 minutes,
Yeah.
you giggle at some shit, cause like the fucking like farting, falling down, shouting. It's universal, like stupidly funny. It's
Slapstick.
not like clever funny, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you laugh at that shit. But like comedy, it's basically like your ideas in your perspective to make it like universal, like those. And like we are in fucking Vancouver, like it's the most like multicultural city,
Yeah.
so you can't just go with like, okay, I'm gonna do those jokes for whites,
Right.
Like no, like you need to do those like blacks, I don't know, like the Middle Eastern, Indian, like it needs to be packed. You need to like do that as like you need to think like universal, but you can like contain yourself, like you can hold back what you want to say.
In that
Yeah.
matter, we were just talking about how do you think that the jokes sometimes it's hard to land a joke,
Yeah.
especially in front of an audience,
Yeah.
because you don't want to make people mad, or like how do you take care of that ethical thing of the joke?
What I do is I say it
Yeah. That's the only way.
and I step back for 3 seconds and I look, and if they laugh, but sometimes it's like nervous laugh, like they like like they think like they shouldn't laugh, but they laugh.
It's like when-
breaking, like you need to like push it.
Yeah.
like when we are seeing South Park, you know you shouldn't
Yeah.
laugh about like that,
Yeah.
but you're laughing.
And some people prey on that too. Like if you watch somebody like Bill Burr, like he preys on that sort of like eventually getting to a point of like, wait, nobody's really laughing about what I'm talking about anymore.
Yeah.
I'd be like, why are you guys so uncomfortable with what I'm talking about? Like it's
Yeah.
not, we shouldn't be uncomfortable with what I'm talking about.
In our era, like we forget like what the fuck like jokes mean.
Yeah.
They are jokes.
Right.
Mhm.
They are not a fucking my statement to like the world. They are like fucking jokes.
Still, like we have still a lot of comedic guys. They're amazing, and most of the times they are really on the line, but they don't cross. Like Louis C.K. does it all the time. He's like, it's
Man, I gotta disagree. I was actually just thinking about it.
or,
Like
or
he
even
does.
or even Jon Stewart,
Yeah.
or Stephen Colbert, or
Yeah.
I mean, we don't see those guys cross the line much because they don't do stand up and they're on like network TV. So, you know, even if they do swear or something, it's bleeped out and they can't. And sometimes that requires more cleverness. I mean, they have to dance around certain things. But somebody like Louis C.K., I think, I mean, he crosses the line constantly. And I think it's all about how not tastefully you do it, but how you do it. Like you can do a joke about rape and have it be super stupid and offensive and not funny. And that's not the audience's fault if you say something stupid and offensive, because you can make a joke about rape that is funny. If you set it up properly, if it gets through, and like, yeah, you might have some people going, but like that's part of it too. That's part of the reaction you're looking
sometimes
for.
like people are so fragile, like even like the second like they heard like the word rape,
Yeah.
they were like,
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, we are not gonna rape you. Like,
No.
It's a joke.
How was your
Well, and it's
worst
also a reality of our world. You know, like
And the thing
to
is,
censor comedy about something like rape. I mean, like
it's
if
happening. Like, it's not like a secret. Like, we just like take it from like a dark place and like put it on you.
No.
It's happening. Like, and like if you fucking like cross those things like in your mind, you already crossed the fucking line. So like the saying that.
You just don't say it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's what I feel like. I always like, okay, the people like in my friends, like my friends, they always think like I'm like so direct that I shouldn't. I was like, if I think it, like I don't see the point like not saying.
well, I
it.
think that's why somebody ends up going to stand-up comedy is
Yeah.
when they see themselves in social situations going like,
It's
oh shit, I shouldn't
yeah.
say this here. But maybe if I say it to a bunch of people on a stage, it's more
Yeah.
palatable for
Yeah.
for them.
Cause like it's a joke. Like the thing is like sometimes I like I feel like uncomfortable to like saying like what my ideas is. Cause I feel like it's not like on stage, but like in friend group, if I say something that what I believe, and if the like the other 6 people like don't believe it, and if they take it like really offensive, I was like, is it worth it? And after I think like, yeah, just fucking say it. Like I always like end up saying it. But like I don't know, like our generation is like, I don't know how the fuck I don't know, it's like the things like going on around the world. I don't know, but like we just like become so fragile about everything. Like we get offended really easily. Like.
But isn't that maybe a sign that we are also evolving in some subjects?
Yeah, I think it means that we end up with like a smarter brand of comedy sometimes. Like people that I think of the past, like somebody like Adam Sandler, I think, which you brought up earlier, like, yeah, you'll get some like stupid laughs out of
Yeah.
it, but overall it's largely offensive. Like something like Ridiculous Six, like I got through probably like half an hour of Ridiculous Six before I was like, no, this is just full of stuff. Like, maybe that's me personally growing out of that age group, and people that are 13 to 20 still like that. But I don't know if that's necessarily true, because I think that we're more exposed to more important things now, and we see comedy
Yeah.
on the scale of like a Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel, or these people that are actually, or Louis C.K., like people that are actually talking about real shit and making it funny.
Yeah.
And so the people that aren't talking about real shit and just talking about stupid fart jokes and stuff are not funny anymore.
Yeah, like before, like I went to New York because I want to watch Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
And like before I go, I was like looking to like the people's like what they are thinking about like his new show at the Radio City Hall, and like people are so upset because like he had like a lesbian joke. I was like, sorry, not lesbian, transgender joke. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna see it so I can like decide for myself. It's like funny or just like it's offensive. And I fucking like he did it like the beginning of his set. I was crying.
Yeah.
I was laughing and I was like, oh my god, this is so funny. And like the thing is like what I think like because like you remember like the transgender people like in army like the Trump say like
yeah,
should be
gonna
allowed.
ban them or whatever.
And I was like, what the fuck, that like what do you mean like if people want to go to war, like they're not gonna fight with their dicks, like like come on man, like what are you talking
Is that what he said? Or that's what you said?
No, I said
Oh.
like I was
No,
like,
it's true. I mean,
what are you talking about? Like that man is crazy. But like after that, I was thinking like, cause like I saw like transgenders like how they react to like Chappelle's joke. I was like, so you're like hard enough to go fucking like a war, but you can't take a joke. How the fuck that works?
yeah,
Like
that's not a bad point.
you thinking like, okay, yeah, I'm like fucking fighting with like ISIS, like people like who fucking beheaded people. But like if you talk about my fucked off like I don't know like your penis, like if you make a joke about it, I'm gonna get offended. I was like, how the fuck that works?
Yeah, that's a
I
good
think-
point.
I think one thing that you correct me if you're wrong. You probably know much better than I do. But when I watch Louis C.K., I think his trick not to cross the line a lot of times is that almost, I don't know, 100% of the time, maybe 90% of the times, the joke is on him.
Yeah, he's making fun of himself.
Okay, that's like I think like one of the like the golden rules in comedy. You need to like make your audience comfortable, so they feel like it's not about them, it's about you and your life. When they feel comfortable, you can go after them, not like specifically, but like saying stuff about like you making jokes about rape or racial jokes, because they're already in like comfort zone. So now you're just like pulling them slowly to like out of their comfort, because like comedy works when you like pull out people from their comfort zone. Like,
Do you think that opening up with like a story about yourself or something like that is like really personal might do like
human mindset is like that the guy on the stage is your enemy.
Okay.
Because he's on the stage, he's like above your level at that like stage wise, because you are sitting, and that guy, because he's like, I have a mic, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the guy who's gonna talk for a while, and you need to listen.
Right.
So like it's always set up like people that like they go like, okay, let's fucking hear what that guy gonna say.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's a cycle that
it's a judgment from the beginning.
And if I say like something like, yeah, I fucking like when I was like fucking that girl, I just like shit on myself, like something like that make you like horrifically like people like, ugh.
Yeah.
But that's funny. So like, so people like think like, oh, that's the guy like who shit himself and while having sex. So like you are that guy now, so you don't have any like level difference. You are basically like below them.
Yeah, you're this gross person that did this terrible thing.
So like they just like, okay, that's what's funny. Let's hear. Like they in the comfort zone now, because like they feel like they are way higher. Like if you become like,
you're a clown to them.
Yeah,
you're supposed to be a gesture to them.
The thing is, okay, that's a problem. Like, cause like that's your job, right? Like to make people laugh. Is a clown thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But what makes me like take like a year out from comedy and like shit is the people you do comedy expect like you gonna be funny like 24/7 in your like social like normal life. Like it's not working like that, motherfucker. Like I'm not your like jukebox for jokes. Like come on, like
I remember Jon Stewart saying something like that. He was in a restaurant dining with his wife, and a fan came by, and the fan just wanted the autograph, and the fan was expecting him to say something funny.
That's the weirdest shit like I ever heard. Like one guy told me like my friend like was introducing us, and he said like, yeah, that's us, like he's a comedian, he's doing like stand-up comedy, and the guy was like, oh really?
Tell me a joke.
No, he said you don't have a face to like be a comedian. I was like, what the fuck that mean? Like he said like, oh, you have like a real like serious face. I was like, I don't know, I don't do the jokes with my face. Like I never thought about it. And he said like, okay, like can I hear like a joke? I was like, no, cause like we are on the fucking street. I'm not gonna like do you like a performance in here. I'm a like normal human. Like,
well, you know what? Maybe you should tell him yes if you pay me.
He like it's weird, man. Like
you got $5.
No, like now
$5 for $5 for
like okay, like let's say like you like working as a like a fucking like
electrician.
No, like you working as like we watch a Super Bowl, and like something happened like with light. I'm like, come on. Like, like or like you fucking working at a restaurant back of the kitchen, you fucking clean the dishes and shit, doing the dishes, and like we eat dinner, and we're like, come on, you know the job. Like,
certain jobs have that expectation sometimes, like the electrician thing or something. Like if I had an electrician buddy,
that, but not in a fucking like watching Super Bowl.
Well, maybe if it's interrupted the Super Bowl, like, dude, like you gotta help me out here, man.
But it's in the
like
city.
You're part of this too. You're an electrician. You gotta fix it.
You have like hours and you get paid, and like that like before that like
it's like asking your accountant friend to do your taxes for free.
Now now I understand like that thing, because I used to be like fun around like people when we going for a drink and shit. Now like that mindset like hold me back a lot. I don't even like join the conversation. Like even I had something to funny to say, like I just don't.
Do you bank that though?
That's
what I mean by like, okay, so you're a comedian, and you don't keep a diary or a journal or something that you just like go like to your phone or something and like type it in quickly and have just like a list of your shit. Well, that's a diary, man. That's no different.
Yeah, like if I'm gonna make a joke about rape, I don't like put to like old rape joke. I just say like rape.
Yeah. Well, that might not. You might want to. You might want to open up that a little bit, because it might just the word rape might not remind you of your old joke.
My memory is like still good. Like I still like.
Somebody looks at that list like, oh, what the fuck is that?
Because like, if you look at the list, there are like some horrific shit, just like a verb by verb. We were like, KKK. I was like, no man, it's a joke.
So
rape.
How is the pay in this?
I used to get paid when I was like working at Yak Yaks.
Mm-hmm.
Those are more like golden years. But
the golden years.
Yeah, I was young.
You were 25.
Yeah, but like the thing is, I was really young at the time. I was like 19, 20 at that time, and my ego was like fucking horrific, like enormous.
Oh.
So I start like choosing sets, which you can do that shit if you are not like Dave Chappelle or Louis C.K. But I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna drink today. I'm not gonna go and do fucking comedy to people. I was like, now I'm thinking, I was like, who the fuck are you, man? Like, just like fucking rejecting like sets. Like, who are you? And now I don't get paid because like you need to like step back again to like.
Oh, you had to like start over again.
Yeah, like it's always. But the thing is, you like, if people start like forgetting about you, you are fucked. Like it's bye bye.
Yeah.
You need to like climb those stairs again.
Sure, but my question is, how do the bars pay you, or like do
Yeah, but,
people
like, it's
tip?
really, like,
Oh yeah, that's a nice
it's really
joke, and
funny,
like,
like-
they throw you money, like if you're doing like
It's
a
always a
stripper on a
drink.
bar, they're just throwing money at you.
It's always like drink involved. So that's what I was thinking. Like in Turkey, like they were paying me with like beers. I
Oh,
was like, that's where my money goes anyway. So
So you're
let's do it,
probably
yeah.
gonna
But
have
in
to
Canada,
have
it's like
another
$50,
lever
$60. If you are headliner in a small club, it might be like $100.
for a night.
Yeah, like for comedy, like
It's kind of like a band.
that's why you need to do like every fucking day.
Okay.
You can like give a break if you are dependent on like.
And
comedy
you
money.
say you don't repeat the jokes. I mean, you had to do it every day without repeating the jokes.
if you start doing every day,
If you
that's
want to
it.
make money doing
Yeah.
it. Well, I mean,
That's
like,
how you become like professional comedian. You need to like keep what's working because you can write every joke every fucking single day.
yeah, man. And I hear like even comedians who are like really famous. I saw JT Miller on like a Late Show the other day, and they still go and like do like 5 sets throughout a night
Yeah,
in New York City,
Yeah.
and that's why like New York City is the place to go
Yeah.
because these comedy clubs are open like all through
dude,
the
they
night.
have like a brunch sessions. Like,
Yeah.
comedy
Really?
ceremony, like
yeah,
brunch time,
it's like
they
all
bring,
the time. Like
yeah.
that's what they do, right? And so
That's how they make
yeah,
money.
people like he's like yeah, but like you know in my heyday I'd be doing like 30 in a night. 35-minute sets. You go to this place, you go to that place, you go to that place,
Oh
you go to that
wow!
place.
So
Yeah.
you do like
Yeah.
many
He's like,
places
yeah,
in
I
the
start at like 9 p.m. and end around like 5 a.m. or something
Yeah.
like that.
night. Oh
They
wow!
just like travel around.
Yeah, and he's like, man,
Yeah.
sometimes the crowds you get at like a 4 a.m. set or something like that are like the craziest crowds.
Only
Like they're so
comedian
weird.
like expectation is like the only comedian like expect other comedians is Dave Chappelle, cause like when he goes down to like Comedy Cellar in New York, even like your comedian on the list like appears to be on the stage that night, everyone fucking goes to like the seat like next to audience. Let Dave Chappelle do his, cause like when he goes to
Yeah.
Comedy Cellar, he does like 4 hours
Just
Wow.
without leaving stage.
holy shit.
He's like his records.
It's like a practice zone, like
He's-
training ground for those
that
guys.
that guy is like a god for comedy
Yeah.
because like he don't write shit, he just does
Wow.
like
do.
shit. Like,
Man, for me, that's one of the most courageous jobs in the world, because if you are with a band, at least you go on top of the stage and you have like a band to help you out with music and stuff. But
Well,
it's
some
you-
musicians go up by themselves
It's
though.
true, it's true, but
But
you're
even
not
then, you're
expecting-
hiding
you're
behind
not
your
ex-
songs.
and you're not expecting people to
Yeah.
laugh.
It's
about
totally
your
like your
it's
songs.
a
soul.
song, yeah. That's the, like that. That's the biggest argument in Turkey. Me and my like musician friends, we always say like, who fucking do the like when we were like younger, it was like whose like job is like harder.
Mhm.
I was like, I think like yours is like much like talent related, but at the end when you create the song, and people heard that song before, you're just gonna go on the stage and do it. You can fucking practice your jokes before you go on stage.
Well, that's not true. I mean, you can't practice them.
In a conversation,
No.
you can do that, but still. if
Well,
the
you have to
audience-
practice obviously your like routine and shit
No,
a little
but, like,
bit.
I'm talking about on people.
Yeah.
You can get like if you like write a song now and record it, you can like put it on like anywhere on internet and people can hear it and and people say like, oh yeah, I like that song, and you can play that song on stage because
Uh-huh.
people already liked it, you know it. But like jokes,
But if
Yeah.
you're just start like I agree with you, and actually I would take it a step further and say that like it does not take any more or less talent to be a musician than it does to be
I
a
feel
comedian.
like
But like
yeah, okay, go on, yeah.
fuck. You stop my train of thought. Yeah, I don't think it takes any more or less talent to do that. But like a song, you write it, but it's still like a hidden message. There's not many songs that are like literal, word for word what you think,
Yeah.
especially not anymore. And actually, that's kind of one of the things I wanted to talk about. Just kind of like relevance of comedy in our social structure and stuff like that. But like a comedian, you are yourself. There is no hiding. Like, even if you're putting on a persona, people will associate that with who you are and your opinion. Like you said, like, well, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. It's like, well, but these are the only time these people are seeing it. Actually, and you were talking about putting it on SoundCloud or whatever like that. If you're starting up as a musician, you don't have a fucking audience, and like, you probably have as a comedian more opportunity to test your music on people, or test your art on people at the base level than a musician does. Because like, I've been a musician for a long time, and like, even now I have some stuff recorded and it's really like, I like it, but I can't go and be like, hey, listen to my music, and like put your headphones in. I can put it on SoundCloud. There's no guarantee anybody's going to listen to it beyond my friends.
That's the thing, you can share a link and people might like listen.
Yeah, but you can go and just be having conversations with your friends and be like, a joke comes to your mind, and say it and see if it works, and just log that information.
Like, try that as like in a group conversation. But
you can sometimes.
Is it like a friend group on the stage? You are talking about different cultures, different like people from.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that a joke won't work.
No, actually, like, sometimes like it happens. Like, sometimes you love something a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's built on like references or something like
it's
that.
like, cause like time is like a really like important point in comedy, like the time and. Like,
of course, yeah.
Yeah, like, so, yeah. What I feel is like, I don't like. I think like this like era, like, we are like, I think musicians have like much more like places like try their like art form, but like comedians is always like, you need to just go and like do it. Still, I feel like musician is like, you need to be talented. Like, for comedy, I don't think it's like talent is that relatable with comedy. But like now I like go back like playing like harmonica again, cause I used to play when I was a kid. I was like, oh my god, that's the hardest thing I ever learned. It's so hard, like, to just like music. We use words, but you can fucking tell everything with your guitar without saying any word. Like, you can make people like feel something.
Exactly, right? But like, then you're not bearing yourself out there necessarily.
Yeah.
Some people very, very much are, but like, for the most part, and like, I mean, even in a weird way, sometimes you're bearing yourself even more. But yeah, I mean, it's all different types of art forms.
Yeah.
I would say that more than any other art form, maybe stand-up comedy requires just guts. Just pure like guts, not just to get up on stage and speak, but to say something like we're talking about that is probably offensive, because that's part of where it comes from. Not like offensive in the way of like, I'm going to offend this specific group of people or something. Yeah. Offensive in the way of like, I'm going to talk about something that is real and nobody else that nobody's talking about. It's an uncomfortable topic. Yeah. But the only way that we're going to talk about this is in a funny way. And I think that brings us to kind of like today, where we have comedy kind of taking over how we get news and stuff like that. Yes. Because kind of the only way to expose these terrible truths that we're talking about is through comedy, through like really expressing almost rage about it, that news stations and stuff just can't. Even somebody like an Anderson Cooper, who is like, if you ever watch his show, is very funny. He's a journalist, but you can see him talking to these people that are like way out to lunch, real people, and just being like, what are you talking about? How can you think this way? But he has to engage them in a serious way. Whereas on the other side of it, you can have a Stephen Colbert who just puts a parody of that person, one of his writers or whatever, in a sketch, and lampoons the whole thing. But through that, like, talks to us about how a foreign enemy is infiltrating a U.S. election, like, which is a serious fucking topic, and something that news organizations, as like not even not wanting to approach touchy subjects, but being like bought and sold by a lot of the people that are implicated in these types of things, just don't explore it. And the only refuge is people that are just telling the truth, which is really always just comedians.
Yeah, art can like relate it to anything, but like if you just like do news, you need to do news. Like, but like with like art form, you can like lay it on like anything you want.
That's true.
Yeah.
I feel like comedy brings a lot of truth to it.
Yeah.
I mean, someone will not laugh at your joke if it's not funny, unless it's your aunt or your mom. And even so, so maybe because comedy brings a lot of this truth to us.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how we are assimilating our news from. Like even like John Oliver, he would
He's
make a
like-
show
he's
of like
the
an
fantastic-
hour about tax returns.
Yeah.
And you would watch it and you won't get bored.
Yeah.
You know, so I think these guys, they found a way through comedy to strike us
Yeah.
with real truth.
Yeah, it just like brings you into like you want to learn about it, cause like even you laugh in your brain is still like in process, so you get the idea like what's going on. And the thing is like you said, yeah, comedy like brings the truth, but in a like you lying on stage, but your point is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fun way about comedy, cause like I don't have an uncle, but I made like uncle jokes, which ended up like something like true to everyone.
Right. And
Like you create
Yeah.
a lie to get to like the truth.
and even the serious issues that happen to us, I think that I heard more than one person that when you can actually make a joke of something that happened to you that it wasn't funny
Yeah.
at that moment is
Yeah.
when you actually free yourself from the situation. You know, like when something really shitty happened to you in your life and you were so mad, but then afterwards you can tell people and like make a joke. So
Yeah, it's so
today
time
was-
time related. Like the time passed, everything is gonna be like funny. Like everything is gonna be like at that moment
Yeah.
because it's your like emotions. But like when you look at back and what happened, because you're gonna see in like the God's eyes, like in your eyes, you're just gonna see like the situation what is going on, and you're like, fuck, that's funny. That's like silly. Like you can and you can like shape it
Yeah.
on stage. You don't need to like tell it like a raw version of it. You can make it like funnier. Cause like we don't have like any like like people don't rely us because we are telling the truth. Like that definitely happened in my life. We create a story with a like a truth in it.
the core has to be truth,
yeah.
but not necessarily
Yeah.
the whole story,
Like,
right?
yeah, you
Like you
have-
tell a true story involving, but your uncle's involved in it, but you don't actually have an uncle.
Yes,
But the
because-
situation
yeah.
did happen.
And like it's the point is like to relate every person
Yeah.
to that story, cause like you might have that, like you might have an uncle and you might like experience that shit. So like people like, oh yeah, I have an uncle like that. So you like he's related now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go back a second to Joao. When we were talking about the comedy news stuff, you mentioned you thought they'd found something that is just this new way of doing it, but like I think they obviously, I mean, it is they've kind of invented something, but I think it is largely by accident. I think if you talk to a lot of them, or a lot of them, maybe not necessarily now, because it has become part of our lexicon, but like. Even in like the last 5 years or whatever, before John Oliver even started his show and Jon Stewart was still in the air, like you talk to them and they're like, no, we're comedians. Like we're just doing comedy. But I mean, they have to know that that's not necessarily true anymore. Right. And at first that's what they were doing when like Jon Stewart started. And I think it's kind of a natural reaction to the way news went. Like we look at something, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Network, the movie Network, but it's kind of the logical conclusion to what happened at the end of that movie is like, well, all of this news is going to be bought and paid for by corporations, basically. Mm-hmm. And people, like, there will be terrible things that happen to people on the sidelines to protect, corporate interests and stuff. And that's ended up being what happened and snowballed through like the 90s and all this bullshit. And then 24-hour news cycles started and those need to come up with something to talk about, and so it just becomes inundated into like our everyday life to talk about something, whether it's relevant or not, and all of a sudden the comedians start lampooning it because it's so ridiculous. The CNN is so ridiculous, like look at how they're covering this. And then all of a sudden the US election starts and 9/11 happens and all of these major events start unfolding. And somebody like Jon Stewart is sitting there like, with a platform basically for this stuff, right? That nobody ever really had before. And I'm maybe not even really realizing at the time, but just seeing this presidential race happen and going like, are you guys watching this? Like, it's fucking hilarious. Like, listen to this person talk. Listen to George W. Bush talk. There's no way this guy can end up being elected. Like, he sounds like a doofus and blah, 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 right? And so they start laughing about it in the writer's room, and all of a sudden they start doing it on the thing, and it like over a decade, it explodes into even every late night show host is about this now. Like, you watch Kimmel, like, and they don't, not necessarily that they want to be, but it's almost that they like just, it's just they have to be, because these are the people that are the only ones telling the truth about what's going on. Like, it's so fucked up that I sit there every morning and I watch Jimmy Kimmel to get my fucking news because I don't need to wait through, like, I mean, I actually, like, obviously go check and everything, anything that they're talking about, but like, I would much rather sit there and watch him deliver it through jokes than watch like 10 people talk about it that like are just
like, cause you are having fun with it.
That's
like,
true.
It's like even like a horrific news.
Yeah.
Come up with a joke, you can like take it.
I totally agree with you, and in that matter, I rather see some comedic guy talking about politics than watching maybe like Jimmy O'Fallon show.
Yeah.
That is just like funny kind of stuff, but doesn't have the political thing involved. You know,
well, he purposely stays away from stuff like that.
You know, but it's okay. But for me, I like to see someone with more depth and, you know, just talking about something more serious and making fun of it.
Like you want to like look, you're looking for is a different angle, like, cause like hearing like politics without like from like an expert is not always fun. You can maybe like get much more information, but maybe you can like hang in there till like the end of his like speech. But like with like a comedian, like you say, like John Oliver like gives like weird subjects like every Sunday night, like coal mines, like the fucking like tax refunds, and you fucking like watch it like on focus. You don't even talk with your friend, you don't even check your phone. The 30 minutes you just like pure like in the zone, and you laughing, but you still gaining the information, which is like the best thing you can do, because like those, like, you think those information is never going to be useful, but still in a conversation, in when you like have like a debate or something, you get, there are still informations you have.
Yeah, but it's not just because news is boring, it's because news is often not right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, not only fake and like purposely fake, but like have to get to it so quick that it's not correct.
Yeah.
Or just skewed towards whatever side the news station is supposed to be supporting.
Like, news, like, I'm talking about like the expert, like it's like some like global warming like expert comes, he's not gonna like lie about it. He's just gonna like show facts, like what's going on, like shit.
Yeah, but sometimes even those people that they bring on, global warming experts, are people that are against it in some way or something, like depending on which side, depending on if you're watching Fox News or CNN, their global warming expert is going to talk about something completely fucking different.
Fake news.
So, yeah, fake news or whatever. And so the only people that are really, I mean, they are informing us of what's happening, these comedians, but not teaching us anything.
Yeah, not lecture anything.
It's just like, look at this shit.
Yeah.
And I think it's working in the way of like Jimmy Kimmel did the whole thing with healthcare because his child was directly involved with it, but like he actually talked about, look, only like 12 to 25% of people are supporting this, and these are the 56 senators. These are their fucking pictures of the people that are voting against or voting for to push this bill through that is going to take millions of people off healthcare, like blah, blah, blah. Like, no fucking news station has the balls to do it because most of those people are paying people or are involved in some background schemes that are, you know, favors and a bunch of bullshit where people are just tied up and can't actually do anything. And yeah, so they're not like teaching us about it necessarily as being like, look into it. Like, you have everybody go and find out for yourselves and call your Congress people or whoever and do it. And that they start all these like hashtag things and like actually start real, like inform real movements on things sometimes. It's pretty interesting to see.
It's true. Even John Oliver sometimes he starts like websites when you can vote and you can see stuff. I mean,
like they pointed out stuff like that you should like focus on. Like they are not like lecturing you. They're like you say, they're just like pointing out like there's a problem you might want to look into it.
Mm-hmm.
So don't like listen like everyone and don't believe everyone what they're telling.
And they even like
Just
say,
check it yourself. Like that's the information you can have it.
yeah, and they even say like, don't even listen to me.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Kimmel, when he was talking about that healthcare thing, one of the criticisms that he played from like a senator or whatever was, well, Jimmy Kimmel's not a serious person or whatever, and it cuts back to him like, first of all, what the fuck do you mean I'm not a serious person? Like, I live in this country and you represent me as a fucking senator. That's like your whole job. And I'm not the one that's like saying that this is bullshit. It's all of these organizations, like all of these health organizations, all of blah, 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 and like lists out a bunch of things that are saying it's bullshit. Yeah. Like, don't listen to me. Listen to those people. I'm not asking you to listen to me as a comedian. I'm asking you to look into it properly and make informed decisions, especially the people that can actually do something about it, not just people, right? Well, we're all people, but not just like the citizens, the senators and the Congress people and president and whatever.
I think only good thing like what's going on with those like horrific like politics right now, especially like US, it just like bring people into politics. So now like we have like much like the voters who have sense what is going on, because it just used to be like, oh, I'm Republican, so like I'm just gonna vote like Republican like nominee whoever is it. Now people know, like now people search what is going on.
You have to think about it.
I think now like they're like much logical like voters like raising, and like the young voters are like knows like what is going on.
I think you touch a point there very important, where these comedic guys really get us, because if you are from the right wing in the States, you'll be watching Fox News, or if you are more left wing, you will be watching something else. But when someone is talking about politics and it's funny, even if you are right wing, you could be watching John Oliver because you'll be laughing your ass. So, we had a discussion last week about how our social medias do not communicate with people with different opinions, because usually we're not so friends with them. But if you have a very funny guy talking about some serious stuff, even people that disagree could be laughing about it, and could be changing the mindset.
Like the point, like that's that. Like I think only like good come out from that Trump disaster is like the new era of the voters. They are much better to like to understand what is going on. For me, okay, like with that like election, I like from the beginning I was like supporting like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah,
because like that guy is just like
that's the one that they needed,
one
man.
in like 1 in 1,000, and everyone blames like Republicans. I blame like Democrats, because like what I feel maybe like it's not like a popular idea. What I'm gonna say is like, if you eliminate Bernie Sanders and pick like Hillary Clinton because she's a woman, because they wanted a woman president. They didn't pick Hillary Clinton just because like Bernie Sanders is way more qualified than Hillary Clinton, and like I believe like Trump becoming president is just because that wrong kind of feminism. Like the feminism is like what we all need. It's like a kind of war that we need to lose, like as men. That's the like war we need to lose.
That's an interesting way to put it. I like that. A war we need to lose as men.
But
that's cool.
The feminism we saw at the election is really like wrong way, and it's like a poisonous way. Like you don't think about your country, what's gonna happen, and you just because you want like I understand they suffer, but you can, just because you are suffering, you can like put that shit like on everyone.
I just agree with you a little bit about that. I think Hillary, amongst a lot of stuff, she had a lot of political influence.
No, she.
I mean, it doesn't matter if she was a woman or not.
But like, if you have Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, how you go with like Hillary?
Hey,
like,
she had more money, man, and more influence. I don't think that it was because of the fact that she was a woman, because I think that that's more dangerous to have a woman as a
like we had women like in 80s. No, like women.
Never in the U.S.
Let me explain myself.
Never in
Turkey, like in 80s, we had like women presidents.
Well, there's been women leaders all over the world except the U.S.
That's the thing. That's the thing. For me, it's more was more dangerous to the Democrats to
And
put a
you had
woman
woman too,
because she's a woman and we are in such a macho environment, which is politics, than to put a guy. But she ended up having more influence. I don't think that was.
I kind of can I interject a little bit?
to the
Like-
to the right
let
or
me say
wrong
it like that.
feminism.
Do you know Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who roasted like
Hold
Wells
on.
Fargo.
Let
If we had like Elizabeth Warren instead of Hillary Clinton, she would be the president.
But here's the
right now.
thing. That's the thing. So it's not because she's a woman.
Oh,
It's
no,
because
no, no.
she's Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
let me
no, no, yeah.
so let me get at this for a second.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying
So-
like, they lose.
Right. So it's not because the Democrats got caught up in let's make a woman president. It's because there was a chance that a woman could be president, and Hillary Clinton and the political influence that she had, as you mentioned, was the force behind. Okay, if there's a chance at a woman president, it's gonna be fucking me. Fucking Hillary Clinton is
Yeah,
going to
but
be the
the problem
first
is-
woman president of the United States. That was like the whole thing.
With the numbers
Because
and
I agree.
shit.
Hold on. Because I agree with you. Because Elizabeth Warren completely stayed out of the race, and I was like, man, if Elizabeth Warren ran for president, she would be president of the United States.
Talk like woman or
But
man.
she didn't even run.
Yeah, but
because
no,
I think,
what I'm
hold on,
saying
because
is-
I'm
yeah.
thinking that the whole kind of Democratic force that probably pushed against Sanders initially, but he said, fuck it, I'm going through with this anyways. And eventually kind of took him down, as you mentioned, because throwing their support behind Hillary instead, is what basically kept Elizabeth Warren out of the race completely. Like I'm thinking that whole political force of Hillary Clinton went to the Elizabeth Warren group and party and said like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
somehow you're not
It's
you're
like,
not running.
If it was Elizabeth Warren, we wouldn't even talk about like.
Listen-
woman
Oh, she would
president.
crush it, man. I love
It was-
Elizabeth
it
Warren.
was
I'm
gonna be
pretty
like
sure I am
Elizabeth
in
Warren,
love with Elizabeth Warren.
Which like way more qualified and way more smarter than like Hillary Clinton. We wouldn't even talk like woman president.
But
but
okay,
one-
hang
one
on
of-
though.
one of
Like
the
I think
things-
that Hillary
one of-
Clinton is qualified to be president way
no,
beyond.
you keep saying the
way
same thing.
beyond-
I'm saying more. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
she was not. But like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth, those people like Hillary Clinton can't.
There
come
was,
in, like, close
I
to
think
them.
there was a lot.
think
of,
she comes
a lot
close
of
to them.
mistakes
Yeah, she
too
come
in-
close to them like she fucked it up with like. The
Yeah,
emails
she
and
has a lot of issues that.
Like if you have issues and the other guy don't have any
I know.
issues.
Well, that's the Democratic Party's
Like,
fault.
yeah, like that's
it
what I'm
is-
saying.
It is a strategic error of
The
campaign
Democratic Party,
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you guys went to Hillary Clinton's website during the campaign. The first name that you will read in her website
Trump.
is Trump
Really?
before you read Hillary Clinton. Yes, because like the campaign was, let's stop Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's like in the point of view of advertising.
Mhm.
I did,
No, everyone does that. We
it's-
did that too.
No, but,
Yeah.
but that's so wrong in the mindset.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is so against. You just like telling people actually to vote for the guy.
But it's effective.
Did you see, like, did you like? Did
it's ineffective.
Well,
That's
it
why
was
she's not the
effective from the
president.
other side.
Well, it was effective from Trump's side, of course, because Trump was not only in his website the first name, he was in Hillary
like you
Clinton's.
can't want to
for-
debate
you know.
against like Trump. No. Like,
Well,
you
he doesn't
shouldn't-
debate.
You shouldn't be like president. Like
He's
dude,
not a
Bernie
rational
Sanders was,
person.
Like, dying like he was dying like let's do a debate, and Trump said first he said yes. I was like, oh my god, like that will like help like Democrats a lot if Bernie Sanders go like head to head with Donald Trump. The thing is, what I'm angry with like Clinton is like she wrote a book about like
Yeah, I
election.
wish she'd just kind of lay low for a
And
while and
she
go
was
away.
like blaming like Bernie Sanders. I was like, how could you? Like that man, even like Democrats fuck him up, he still endorsed Hillary Clinton, which like he just wanted to like defeat like Donald Trump. He was like, I'm pretty sure like Bernie Sanders was like, okay, like Clinton is not good enough, but like she's way better than Trump. Like that's all we think. Like when it comes to like two of them, we were like, yeah, Clinton then,
Yeah.
because we don't want the other like stupid guy.
Yeah.
But still, like, dude, like if you care about your if all about it's like the American, we know like the patriotic American like value. Like, if you really care about your country, and if you have like a nominee as like Bernie Sanders, and if you like pass by, I can't like see any logical like reason. Of
There
it,
is
like,
no logic behind it, man. That's the whole point. Like Like you're talking about the debates and stuff like that, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter if he went up there and said like the worst possible things he could possibly say, because he said them and he did them multiple times throughout the campaign. That I was like,
voters is like those.
They don't care, man.
People, like who just watch and like laugh at this stuff, like just Donald Trump say horrific shit to like Hillary Clinton.
Man, they didn't.
And they will be like, yes, like
Yeah.
they are like those.
They
like,
eat it
ignorant
up.
People, yeah.
They don't care because for a multitude of reasons, but mostly because there's a bunch of people that'll never vote Democrat regardless. That's just their way. Like they'll never, like, not just Democrat, but will never vote for like socialism or whatever you want to call free healthcare and stuff like that. Yeah, it is socialism. Sorry, like it's just a word. Like people fucking afraid of it, but like
Social democracy.
yeah.
Like you think like if Bernie Sanders like was nominee, like he would lose to like Trump?
I think it would have been tight, probably. Well, maybe not, because part of that group of people that voted for Trump, are a group of people that just straight up won't vote for a woman.
Yeah.
Just like there are a group of people that straight up won't
I
vote
think,
for a
like,
black man.
yeah, like,
like that's just
General,
part
like,
of it.
I don't think like it's like just like a woman. I think it was like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, well, that's definitely part of it, of course.
Like, it's
but
not
I'm
just
saying
because of woman.
there are these little things that kind of add up to, okay, well, there are people that just won't vote Democrat regardless. There are people that won't vote for a woman. There are people that won't vote for Hillary Clinton because of who she is. There's people that won't vote for Hillary Clinton because who Bill Clinton is. And there are people that won't vote for Hillary Clinton because she fucked Bernie Sanders. And then so it just adds
Yeah,
up
like,
to a bunch of people that
I was
end
never
up voting
happy about
Donald Trump into the presidency.
Like I don't feel comfortable about all that. Like I was like, how could you pass on like Bernie Sanders? Like I still,
Oh,
like,
I know, man.
fucked up with. I was like, how could you do that? Like, cause the thing is, that's the only country that we are all involved there. Like with politics.
I was watching. I was like, that's who you need.
Like,
vote that guy in.
like-
You need that guy. He'll get.
I
Who fucking
honestly,
cares about like?
I don't like. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
disagree, and
Go for it.
but I don't think that Bernie Sanders will be the answer to the Americans.
No, well, I mean, there's a lot of people that
I
still
don't
fight
think-
against a lot of what
I
he
don't
stands
think,
for.
I don't think.
There will be always
No,
a fight.
you see, I don't think that Americans in general, Americans are ready for a guy like him. It would be a shift way too big.
That's what they
Even
need,
though,
like, okay,
even though I like his ideas, but you cannot.
It would be a huge
you know,
shift.
I mean,
we
you
all
cannot.
watch like Lord
you
of the
see-
Rings, right?
Yeah, but let me just finish up something here. When you put someone like him, you probably gonna make a lot of people more angry. Now, Donald Trump is a clown.
Loud noises.
He's a clown, but we all know it's different than someone to try to hide who he is. Now, we have the chance right now to see in the television this clown that became American president. And we were just talking this the other day. He's the guy that paradoxically united us against bad politicians.
Yeah.
You know, if you
Yeah.
had Bernie
Exa-
Sanders, you have a lot of rednecks angry about whatever.
Wall
like, I'm
Street
telling you,
people.
like,
and
I
yeah.
understand your point. Of course, there is no politician like loved by everyone. But I'm like, what I believe is like that's my opinion. There will be no like more than like angry against like Trump. There will be no like more population like against like Clinton. It will be like Bernie Sanders. Like
He wouldn't be able to
like
pass the
still
laws.
there will be
man.
like angry men.
That's true.
He wouldn't.
That's
he
the
wouldn't
thing is
have
like
the
you get a
Congress.
president like Bernie Sanders in, but then you have a Republican Congress and a Republican Senate. Like, it doesn't matter what he does. It'd be the
Yeah, like it was the same as like Obama too. Like who fucking thinks like the black person gonna become like?
Well,
president?
even
It's not,
Obama.
like, being
Obama had
ready.
more political power than Bernie Sanders, and
Yeah.
he couldn't pass the bills, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even
but
like
some of the
Obamacare is a
senators think it.
bastardization version of what they wanted to pass purely because they had to make a whole bunch of like
I don't know.
condolences just to get it
Maybe
through.
this stage,
Condolences.
maybe this stage of Trump is exactly what we needed to realize.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
It might be like
What
not just the
politics
stage,
is.
It might be the end.
I don't think so, man.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, no,
I mean, we laugh about it, but there's like
Yeah, you
threats of
wanna-
nuclear war
You
happening
wanna
every
roll
day.
the dice on that? I don't know.
I don't know, man. I think that he's such a clown. He's a clown. He's clown enough to say that stupid thing to North Korea, but he doesn't have neither. I think
But dude,
either
like,
the
that's a-
power
Nothing
or
about
or
the
the
man.
cojones to push the button.
But there's a guy on the other side that might. He definitely has the power. He might not have cojones, but he's fucking nuts.
Like it's not just like like it's not just like Donald Trump. It's like what he bring with himself. Like there are like people with
Yeah.
like, fucking tiki torches like and like Nazi
Yeah,
like, walking
and the
around,
people
like,
that are around him in the
I-
administration,
I-
people
I-
like
we
Bannon
were
and
ready
stuff
for
like
that
that.
stage too.
I totally agree, but that's the first time in history that we are able to see how full of flaws is
The whole
the
system.
system.
I agree, and I think like people have brought this up to me before, and I think like you mentioned it earlier. Like one of the best or the only good things that can come out of this is actually shaking people of our generation kind of out of political apathy. Like all these protests and stuff started after the election and stuff that I've never really seen in my life, right? Like we've seen pictures of it from like Vietnam era and stuff like that, but like we've never seen those types of levels of protests in Washington and things. So it's interesting to see. And
Do you know what's the sad part about everything about that American election? We are all involved. You are Brazilian.
Yeah.
You are Canadian.
Yeah.
I'm Turkish. We fucking involved in like American election more than our politics.
Yeah, it's true.
it's true. Like
Because
sometimes.
it's fucking America.
I'm definitely
Like
way involved in it.
whatever they do is not just affect them.
It almost
It's fucking affects like all around the world.
Well, like
Turkey is fucked up. Like last year, like for me, it's like fucking like bad loop. Like I mean, like cause I saw everything was happening now 13 years ago, and it's a fucking bad loop.
And you guys are in between the U.S. and Russia.
Yeah, and like
in politics,
the
which is
fucking, like,
oh
yeah,
my god.
fucking Jeju, like where are like located is like it's not like Middle East, it's not like Europe. It's just like it's a fucking bridge to like the hell and heaven. Like it was like what the fuck, man. And like we are still like trying to like understand like what's going on in Turkey. But like I saw everything what happened like last 8 months in America. That's
Yeah.
how it started.
But if you push people too far, they eventually will rebel and they will get the power again. And I was so yeah. Just to not, I would like to just say that
Yeah.
We are all filmmakers here, and not ignore the fact that this week we have the VIF here in Vancouver, the Vancouver
Yes.
International Film Festival, which
That was
has a
smooth-
lot
smooth
of
transaction, by the
beautiful
way.
films and a lot of interesting thing playing. Yesterday, I happened to saw a film called In Putin's Blacklist, which actually was made up by a Canadian guy. And we can check the name later. And one of the things that they were saying about Putin is being so ridiculous, like a emperor almost in Russia,
Oh, yeah, he's
like
like a
banning
like
homosexual
fascist
and
like I
banning
ever saw,
this
yeah.
and banning that. That people are beginning to realize that, especially young people, that they don't want to live under
Yeah.
under Putin's laws
Yeah.
anymore. So, even though they re-elect this guy, and this guy is actually a dictator there, right? If he push people too far, he gonna lose the country.
Yeah, of course. Like, at some point, like there will be like end. Of course, but like, look at the era we live in. Like, look at the fucking like they're like Nazis like walking around like the streets, like in Russia, like the fucking like they tortured like gay people.
Yeah.
In Turkey, like you need to be like the fucking religious, or otherwise you need to be like fucking like faced with like weird stuff. Like they are like happening everywhere. But like now, okay, now I'm in North America, right? So like I need to be fucking focus on like what's going on around here. But like when I see those like people, supposed to so-called like true patriot Americans with a Nazi flag,
Yeah.
I was like, are you stupid? Like your grandfathers fight with those people.
I know,
against-
man.
And you like carry a Nazi flag because you are a true patriot. I was like, how the fuck that works?
I know, man.
Like, are you like it's not even like ignorance. It's just like the level of stupidity that I never saw before.
I mentioned it to a friend of mine. He made a post about the football players kneeling for the anthem or whatever.
Yeah, that's
And-
the other thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of went on a big spiel about it, how like look, the American, because he was like, my grandfather fought in the war and like he's just respecting the veterans. I'm like, you like the flag does not only solely represent the veterans, and the veterans are not solely represented by the flag, and B, like what they're doing, kneeling for in protest, in a peaceful protest, is like the most American thing that like you can possibly
your
think of. Like
grandfather
that is
fight
what
for that shit.
that's what it's built on. That's what like your
Prestige, yeah.
grandfather fought for. And I said to him, and I was like, those people that are like fighting to keep those statues up and are waving like Nazi flags and carrying the American flag alongside it, those people are what they're doing is much more of a bastardization and
Yeah.
much more offensive to what your grandfather was fighting for than anything involving kneeling during a national anthem or during like a flag ceremony or something because of what is
weird,
it?
man. Like
Just
we
protest.
torches at night. I was like, who we gonna hunt? Like Frankenstein. Like, what
Yeah.
are we doing now? Like who fucking walks it? Not like you saw what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're now like angry like with Jews. I was like, Jews.
Yeah.
Like they like taking every money like they. I was like, oh my god, here we go again.
Yeah.
Like no one's take your job. You are just stupid. You
So-
can have a job.
You see, that's that. I think that's just a maybe. It's just a reflex of what we're seeing with Donald Trump. I mean, these thoughts.
Definitely,
and
he's
these people-
empowered them.
This thought and these people. It didn't happen overnight.
Yeah, no, they were
You
waiting.
know,
They
so
were
now
waiting,
now they are out
Yeah.
of the closet, showing the really faces. But if we see the real problem, it's easier to fight
That's
when
true.
you don't see it. You know, when it's just like, oh yeah, we have this Confederate flag, which is like, a lot of times just a cover for a Nazi flag that you maybe would like to be waving, but you couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Man,
I remember once I went to Tennessee. My host, I live in the States for a year. My host brother was black. I was in Tennessee, and naively, I entered into a store that had a Confederate flag on the door,
Uh-huh.
and my brother stood outside, and I was like, "Dude, come on in. I just I saw that," and he was like, "Come here, come here. Do you want me to get? Do you want to get me killed?" So like this is going on for
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
still
of,
happening, man. It's
so
really
not
really
something
sad.
that happened overnight.
No.
Dude,
Now
when-
we have the
yeah.
chance to see.
During the
Yeah.
election, do you know
situation.
what I saw? There was a video. They like interviewed like the guys from southern states in USA, and there was like they built like a team. They assembled like a team.
Mm-hmm.
They like I don't believe in any religion or God. Like I don't fucking care. If you believe, cool. But like I'm not like fan of it. But I saw those people like talking about like, yeah, goddamn Muslims. Like we building like pig-blooded bullets,
Oh yeah.
so we can shut them and they can go to hell because they can eat pig. I was like,
Oh my God! What?
what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
Man, Donald Trump himself perpetuated a story that informed what you're talking about,
Like-
and it's this like.
I was like, how the fuck that's legal? Like he just saying like he's gonna fucking shoot Muslims with the fucking like pig-blooded bullets.
Dude, the president of the United States, like, in front of public cameras and everything, tells a story that is proven to be completely erroneous by all, like, historians.
9/11 story.
No, it's this, like, way back in, like, the 1800s or something when people were still floating around on ships, how there was, like, a violent uprising on this island or something of Muslims in Indonesia. And this captain, these are like Donald Trump is like praising this guy, like this heroic captain lined up all these terrorists and dipped there was 50 of them and dipped 49 bullets in pig's blood and shot all of them and sent the 50th home to tell everybody what happened. And he's like, and there wasn't a terrorist attack for 25 years, and everybody fucking like cheers. And I'm like, that's the president of the United States like condoning a hate crime for a completely ineffective method of terrorism that only worked for like 2,000 years, and it wasn't even true. It's not a true story.
The thing is, like, I don't know, like fucking like I know Muslim people. The country is like fucking like 85-90% is like Muslim.
Yeah.
And I never met a Muslim that's fucking like willing to fucking like blow himself up. And like what I knew is like America's like one of the like powerful countries in the world, and they fucking like create stuff. Like you don't like say it, but like it's not just like those groups, like those terrorist groups, just like self-founded and happen like overnight.
Families are getting
Yeah.
bombed and shit.
Yeah, like you fucking send drones in a sunny. Like, do you see that kid? Like the kid was in the court. He said like I can look at the like blue sky because like we can see the drones at like when it's like blue sky. I was like, how fucking horrific is that?
Wow.
Yeah, you can see the fucking like drones, like, cause you can like fucking look at like blue sky, cause there might be a drone.
Wow.
Yeah, it's brutal.
So like
What do you think is gonna
you fucking
happen?
like have like a body count all over like Middle East, millions and
Yeah.
millions, and okay, that's the other stupid thing about America, like the guns, like what happened like in
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, and actually we mentioned the attack in Edmonton on our last podcast, and
Yeah.
we're like a week behind, so sorry to
Like-
everybody, but I just want to give a shout out to
First, like,
Vegas because
everyone
it's
was like,
awful, awful.
ISIS. I was like, ISIS is a 65 years old man, like white dude, like ISIS member, the true like
Yeah.
Muslim. Let's say that, like they can even like enter Las Vegas. I went Las Vegas. They can like make it there.
No,
Like, and like the guy was like 65 years old, like who fucking like gamble and shit all of his life,
Yeah.
and like he just like become like ISIS member and like fucking shit.
Let's-
no,
Like,
there was no
Let's-
like it was. I watched an interview with that guy's brother, and like there was no like rhyme or reason behind it. They're like he's
Yeah.
never shown any signs of extremism
like
about
that
anything, like
post
just
nightclub
nuts, just.
You see,
the guy
and-
just like shout ISIS before he shot the people. I was like, yeah, I don't think like he was ISIS, like because you just like you just shouting ISIS doesn't make you
No,
ISIS, motherfucker.
no.
Yeah.
Just like, and I still believe like,
not even Allahu Akbar.
Yeah,
like
like-
that would make more
Yeah.
sense, right?
and like they're like weird stuff, man. Like it's like I don't know like how they like found it, like, but I'm sure they are not self-found. Like it's like there's like
No, well, there-
one like politician said like if you like fucking feed in a snake in your back garden,
Yeah.
you can expect it to like come.
Man, yeah, it's so fucked
Yeah.
up because like all of these organizations are generally bred out of places like Saudi Arabia and Pakistan and like
like
and
Muslim
you know Syria and places like that, but like we all like fight against it and shout against it, but then they go over and do like multi-billion-dollar arms deals with these
Yeah.
countries, and like, well, this is going to like the Saudi Arabia army. Like, where the fuck do you think that's going? Like, that's shooting your own
Yeah.
people. Those
Yeah.
guns are gonna end up
Yeah.
shooting your own people, blowing
But you
up
don't think they
innocent
know-
people. Not even your own people, but innocent people in their own country,
Right.
which is like a much larger number than any
Like, they
Americans or
know,
Canadians killed. But like,
governments don't care about like the public as long as like
well,
government,
people
like,
just
keep on running.
no. Like, the
Like,
governments don't
fucking,
care
like, a
because
gun deal with, like, Saudi
but the
Arabia, like-
governments don't care because nobody in the public, well, people are, but like there's no like actual visceral about it. There's no there is like there are small obvious protests about like, you know, don't do arms deals with Saudi Arabia and places like that, but it's like a couple news stories like after it happens, and then it goes away, and
It goes
there's
like
no like
every
mass
day-
protest for selling billions of dollars worth of guns
Yeah,
to Saudi Arabia
because
that
people
end up
are
killing your own
confused
people.
now, like what the protest, like which one you gonna fucking like deal with, like the fucking Nazis or the president himself is a fucking Nazi.
I know. Well, that's the thing. It's like, man, it's all so fucked up. And actually, I wanted to go back to what we were talking about a little while ago about like, you know, this outsider coming in, and I think like I didn't mention it while I was giving my spiel on the segments, but that was obviously a segment of the people that ended up voting for Trump too, that aren't necessarily like racist or even Trump
Yeah,
supporters, but are
some,
like
like, racist
they're like,
all of them.
we need something from outside of this system to shake it up because it's so broken.
Yeah,
And
wrong
Bernie
guy.
Sanders did represent that a little bit, but he
Yeah.
was still like he still spent his whole life basically in Washington, and so some people argue that they needed that. I agree that they needed that, but like this, just because you can't just vote for change for the sake of change. Like if you see this guy who's an outsider, like yes, that is a plus, but all of these minuses and even the things he would bring as an outsider, like you're talking about terrible things. Like if you had an outsider like a Bill Gates or like an Elon Musk who's not American, so he couldn't do it, but like people like that ended up, you know, running for office or something like that, then yes, like that would probably be a really, really good thing.
Yeah, just
but
because
like,
you want like a difference
yeah,
doesn't mean like any kind of difference.
no, it's a terrible difference.
Like how the fuck you? That guy was on TV like fucking like just shouting like you are fired like to everyone, and like he's a weird dude, man. Like he just like
to
talking
the
about like,
football players,
Yeah.
you're fired.
Yeah.
You're fired.
he was
What
calling
the
like
fuck? He's
football
a
players,
clown.
like,
You're
son of
right,
a
man.
bitch. I was
He's
like
such a clown.
he called like okay, let me give it like fucking like praise to him. Calling football players son of a bitch is like a one like badass move you can do, cause those people are fucking rape people and they fucking beat the shit out of people. Like how how the fuck.
Dude.
When I watched that, I was like, oh my god, like when he's stopped being president, they will hunt him down. Like,
Although, like, joking aside about that, I think he opened a bit of a Pandora's box by going after athletes, because to a lot of extent, like, athletes kind of stay out of politics because fans come from all over the place, right? You don't really want to alienate yourself.
Today, Mike Pence left the stadium because, like, in San Francisco game,
They all kneeled?
They kneeled, and he fucking.
Fuck.
I was like, yes.
They don't, like, the dissonance that they don't realize that makes them look like the
Dude,
the biggest fool.
Kneeling, like they just kneel.
Yeah.
Like kneel, like they don't even do like any horror.
They're not even like flipping you the bird or anything, or chanting or booing or like anything. Like they're kneeling.
Put, like American flag on your like bikinis and shit, like your like, tongues and shit.
Yeah.
But like the guys like fucking kneel when he's like national anthem. It just makes you like offended. Are you fucking stupid?
That's the one of the strategies that I think is just like one of the things that it looks stupid, but that might be one of the things that throw Donald Trump out of power quick, because then you're going against people.
Yeah, what I was saying.
People like football is very popular.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what I mean. Like to open the Pandora's box of getting into athletes, and not just football. Like LeBron James came out, and like a bunch of like the NBA champions decided not to go to the White House. And that's like kind of a big deal, right? The NHL champions did, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but like, so yeah, the NBA champions decided not to go. He's like, oh, I didn't invite them anyways. Like, and LeBron's like, nah, like people, like it was an honor until you showed up, kind of thing, to go to the White House.
He's like a little kid.
Yeah.
Like only kid, like when you start like taking like
but
his voice and like stop giving attention.
The ego involved in thinking that he will win the popularity contest against anybody will start to get out of control, and it will start with I mean, like, there's always kind of a visceral for like celebrity elite like actors and stuff like that, so some people like they just won't listen to what people like that have to say, and they won't even turn on something like John Oliver to learn something or whatever, right? But like they're watching basketball, and if their favorite player, even especially as kids, especially as like teenagers, if their favorite player is like, this guy's a fucking asshole, this guy's a clown, don't listen to him, like whatever, it creates a different dynamic.
And you see how important that is, because now even teenager people that don't like politics at all,
they're remote.
They are involved.
For sure, they're gonna turn 18 in a few years, and like it's gonna be this fucking wave.
So
if we can survive as
clear
like
now.
planet,
it's clear.
We have like good days.
It's physics, man, an equal and opposite reaction.
It's crazy, like. It's
well, I would like to ask you, how is it to make political jokes in Turkey? Like, can you go to a bar and do that?
Okay, that's a good question. There are certain, like, in my city you can do it, because like my city is like most hated city in Turkey. So
is that because of you? What have you been doing?
Because of people like me.
Okay.
Yeah. We love to live like together with every like belief and like non-belief, cause no one fucking cares like what you believe. Like if you're like decent human being, you good. We have like bars next to like mosques. Like people say like good afternoon like every time like they come up from the mosque. When we are drinking, we say like, hey man, how are you? Like no one's like fucking getting offended or any shit. So that city is like kind of like a Western city, and the government is like real like fucking religious. Like they just like, it's not even like peaceful like way to like put their religion. Like they just like force people to like the religion, and the fucking religion like don't teach that. I read the book, like there is nothing like what the government is doing, and I was like, okay, like so it's like people in my city is like me, like we just don't give a fuck about like what government thinks. So like in my city you can do like political jokes in your own audience, but if you try to do that in Istanbul or Ankara, which is the capital, probably someone's gonna shoot you.
Shoot you?
Yeah, like probably like someone. Yeah, Istanbul. Like Istanbul is a kind of mixture now. It used to be like Istanbul is like the face of the like the Turkey.
Yeah, I thought it was a very kind of Western sort of
It
feel.
used to be like people like fucking like getting immigrated in there, like fucking like everyone's like from east going to like the Istanbul, so it's like now like a mixed blood. What's going on there? Yeah,
Muggles.
Yeah, they don't come to our city because you can do that shit in our city.
But who is going to shoot you?
Like,
Someone
like
from the
shooting,
government?
Shooting.
I mean,
no, not government. Like, the thing is, supporter of governments are way like dangerous than the government. for us, cause they
Like the militias.
like they're not like soldiers or something. They're like people like me and you,
Mm-hmm.
but they get angry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so like
And,
people
they
like
come after
you and me, but
yeah,
worse.
Yeah, cause like they think they will be like their action is gonna be justified because I tell something against government and government is gonna protect them.
Mm-hmm.
Even like he just fucking do something illegal to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's and now like we are at the point like for my city at least we are like yeah why we give a fuck about them though, like we are like the farthest part of the like the Turkey which nothing happens in there, people every day like fucking having fun. It's like fuck them, like fuck it.
In what sense?
Like in every sense, like you are still like you have like every freedom of speech, you like comfortable, no like terrorism or like any like shooting happening. You just like you live in like a good place, like you just comfortable.
But it's still part of your nation, right? Like
yeah,
don't.
that's the problem. People think like yeah, it's like Turkey, so we are like a whole. What I think is like yeah, they fucked that whole up.
Okay.
Like why would I care the people who just come after me if I say something about
But
government?
their laws are gonna be affecting you and vice
yeah,
versa,
of course.
right?
But like
so
the like laws like doesn't like make me like say anything against government.
Maybe.
there's no law
Yeah,
against.
we still have like a free speech
Yeah.
in the country.
Okay.
It's just that
It's
people
just, like, people
in
who support government, they are like
Okay.
fanatics.
Maybe just like
okay.
the big difference between I don't know New York City and somewhere in Missouri. You know.
Well, no, it
where-
sounds more like it's I guess because like technically it's a
It's
free
like a
country or
state,
whatever, but people will get violent if
yeah,
you're.
we still like free speech.
Missouri's not
but
the
fucking,
best.
like,
Yeah, maybe like
the
Well, it is.
yeah, yeah,
St. Louis. What?
yeah.
the fucking like newspaper people and shit, like they just go into jail for other reasons. Like, the coup happened.
Oh, okay. So they find something to put into
Yeah.
the prison.
But so like as like I hate to use the word westernized as like a.
Yeah, there is a thing like this.
I know, but it's such a fucking stupid term.
Well, maybe globalized. You know.
Sure, a civilized nation,
Modern.
a modern nation. As a modern nation, that's good. As a modern nation, isn't there like a pushback against something like journalists get disappearing and shit
Okay,
like that?
That's what I fear about America too. That shit happened like 30 years ago. When they first come to like the position of that they take control of the government. It was not like that. It's always like a push up, like push back to the government. But like every second they stay in a government, they become more powerful and powerful.
Right.
So first they just buy on like newspaper, TV channels, the fucking companies. Every second pass, your like pushing power is like getting less. Cause there is no like channel to like inform people what is going on. They fucking like banned Wikipedia like just like last year. The YouTube like got banned like every month. Like fucking Twitter was like banned.
But so like, is there not like a group, like a significant amount of people in
Like,
this
there
modern
are
nation that are like, fuck that, like you took away Wikipedia, like
Yeah.
I was on that shit every day, like what the fuck?
People getting angry, but the thing is like we are getting like minority. Like,
Because
like,
of all these, but those, I guess those people were like the Eastern
some
people
of them,
belong
like,
to your country in the first
some
place,
of them,
right?
Like scared now.
Oh,
They don't want to go against the government, so we lose like a big portion of those like rebellion people because of the fear. So they don't want to talk about it. So it's just like getting like every second they stay there, it's just gonna be way more horrific.
Okay.
oh man, it's there's a lot of stuff going on in this crazy world, and sometimes
like I'm taking crazy pills.
it's really nuts.
Yeah. It's great to have comedies.
Yeah.
around.
Yeah,
It's true.
That's love
It's
them,
nice
man.
to have
And
something
it's
to
so
laugh
funny,
about.
You know what? How we shifted so smoothly between comedy and politics.
Well, they so intertwine. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of like what I figured would happen, especially once we got onto like the news stuff and whatnot, because especially now they're so intertwined. And yeah, I knew Oz would have some interesting takes on it, and I didn't know he was the most interesting man in the world, and harpoon fished and all that type of stuff. He's
Kind of a big deal.
so
It's made with bits of real panther. so you know it's good.
So I think Oz, you probably have a bottle of Sex Panther somewhere in your house by the sounds of it. Are you having any upcoming shows or anything like that?
Before I go, I plan to do 3 shows.
Okay.
In November.
Where?
Around the city.
I know,
wherever
but
can find,
not in the subway.
Probably some pizza places. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I love pizza places.
Bro. Yeah.
That's the real comedy.
It's hard.
So
to
nothing officially lined up, but you'll.
No, there's no official lined up.
Is there a place where people can follow you to see your shows or whatever?
Nah.
No.
No. The thing is cause you just need to follow the Vancouver comedy, the group, Facebook group, stand-up comedy group.
Okay.
So you can see whoever where in
Nice.
that group. So yeah, I don't promote myself. That I always.
Oh, we
find
can
it,
we can do that.
Yeah, it is weird. It is
I always
weird.
find
Yeah,
it-
that's why we're asking. We're asking to promote
I will
you.
be on the Fox Cabinet on Friday.
I know it's fucked up.
Yeah, you have a CD coming out.
Yeah, he's saying that is weird, man. He's just come and watch me. I was
Yeah.
like, no, you don't need to. Just do much fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will be there 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, in November I have 3 shows that I want to do, cause I wrote the jokes already. I don't wanna wait for a year for them.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah. We'll hope to see you on the Stand Up Vancouver Facebook page, and we'll be following that. Anybody out there interested in some amateur acts and some open mics and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Do we have anyone to call in this week?
We don't have anybody to call for us, but we did receive a couple calls. We got somebody on hold right now. We've had a few callers over the last couple weeks that have given us some pretty interesting things to discuss, to say the least. So they're never really the types of people that we would normally associate with, and we'll see what we have today. I'm
Well,
not
I
sure
think-
who we have
I
today.
think, because we had that thing that almost every show we talk a little bit about sex, and we try to just
Yeah.
go
The conversation just goes that way.
Just goes to shift to that kind of nice conversation that we always like it. So yeah, I think today we have some guy that is specialist. I don't know.
Well, we have a man. I think he is it a man?
I don't know.
Oh, we have a ambiguously gendered spirit, actually, from what my notes are. It was once a sex ed instructor who became way too detailed about what they were discussing in the classroom, and a disgraced sex ed instructor has now become a sex instructor in the afterlife.
He has a website called thesluttyspirit.ca.
The slutty spirit is what he refers to himself as, and that's what his business card says. And I think we have them on the line here. Welcome, slutty spirit, or slutty or spirit, or
hello.
how would you like to be referred to?
How are you? Well, you can relate to me. You can say my name whatever you want.
Whatever I
as long
want.
as you open your mouth very
That's
much.
what she
you know.
said.
Okay, wow.
You have a beautiful mouth, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know you could
You know
see
what
that
this
over
mouth
the.
is good for?
What's
Spirit.
my mouth or your mouth?
Yes, no, that big mouth of yours.
What's it good for?
Well, maybe we can make action later, but I won't talk about it.
Oh, well, we're uncensored here, so we can talk about whatever you want. And you
Okay.
you are by name the slutty spirit. So
Yes, I
you've
would
called
like-
us.
I-
What
I-
is it you want to
I-
discuss?
I would like to talk a little bit more. I think this program could use a little bit more sex.
Well, we have been discussing a lot. Of
Yeah,
sex.
but that's not enough, I think. And I think we should talk today about not only talk, but also, if you guys want to, we should. I want to talk about masturbation.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting topic. Yeah, it's
But
come up a few
before-
times.
Yes, but before talking about masturbation, I would like everyone to touch your genitals.
Okay. Yeah.
So everyone can do that now.
Sure. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
no,
see no
I've been
one
sitting
doing
with
that.
my hand in my pants most of the time, anyways. So.
Okay. So today we're gonna talk about how masturbation is important for you.
Okay.
Okay. How do you think masturbation is important for you?
Well, I think it's a good stress release. You know,
What
if
about you, As?
It keeps me happy.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Keeps us all
Would
from
you
getting
keep
too
me
mad.
happy?
No, I love my penis, and I'm just really royal to my village. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
I don't like other peanuts.
you're so selfish.
Yeah, I know. I know.
It's so funny. Yes. So I used to be a former teacher
Right.
in sex education,
Mm-hmm.
and I think sex is a very important subject in the world, but we don't talk too much about it.
No, that's true. We don't, especially here in North America. There's a very big aversion to sex in our media and in
So
our
yes.
schools even. So you were a teacher at a school.
Yes,
What
well,
what?
in my sex program, we used to not only talk about it, but experience.
Okay.
So we would talk. We have the adolescent people
Mhm.
there.
Adolescent.
Yeah, like teenager.
We can't go into that. I think.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You're gonna be fine. So we used to have these teenagers in the classroom, and we would talk about sex, and we would
Okay.
also promote some healthy sex activities.
Okay. That sounds fine. That sounds fine.
Like we would like to see how each other touch themselves, so we can learn.
Well, that might be a little offside.
Well,
Were the children
You see, that's
paying
the
to be?
hypocrisy. Don't you touch yourself?
Of course I do, but
So why can't you talk about it? That's
well, there's
hypocrisy.
something different between talking about it. We're talking about it here, but I'm not gonna let you touch me
Oh,
or
that's too bad.
these people, these children. I don't know were consenting to being
you
touched.
know, they thought that my program wasn't good enough, but it was giving them more sex experiences.
So what were the
This-
age ranges of these?
Oh, they were
Okay.
pretty old. They were between 12 and 16. They were old enough
Old enough for what?
for experiences.
I think, man, I don't know if we can let this call go much further. This is, you're gonna have to dig out of this hole really
well,
fast.
I thought this program was open to discuss.
Sorry, can I ask something?
Yes.
Which church you are located in?
A church?
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Okay, cool.
You do multiple sessions across church basements, or
Oh yes, I do, and I do educate a lot of priests, because you know what, a lot of them cannot touch other people, so I do teach them how to be happy touching themselves.
Oh, that.
touching themselves. Okay,
Yeah, that works,
There's
that
nothing
works.
wrong with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
each one of
It's
them-
probably good if the priests masturbate. Although I think that's
No-
against most
Yeah.
of
No,
their.
no, it's not. I teach them how to touch each other priests, so it stays only
Oh.
in the priesthood.
Okay, well that's also fine. I mean,
The
yeah,
holy jerk off.
sure. I mean, whatever floats
Yes,
the boat.
yes, we don't call holy jerk off because they would probably not like it.
Whatever is happening between consenting adults is between them, and that's fine.
You see,
Yeah.
the body's holy, the children are holy. So that's thank you for the question. Us, yes, we do. I do work a lot in churches around.
Yeah,
here.
that's good.
yeah.
I'm glad
I
to
make a
hear
living
that.
out of
I'm
that.
glad to hear that.
Yes, and if you guys can check out my project and my work at www.sluttyspirit.ca, and I have a lot of access. I have
That's
a lot-
you didn't want to shell out for the .com domain.
No. I like to stay small. You know what I mean? Just small.
Stay local.
communities.
Stay local.
Yes.
Okay.
I have, and I'm actually opening a franchise
Oh,
with
that's
other
nice.
people.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for
That's
having me here.
perfect.
Yeah.
Those.
You know, Slutty Spirit, I think we're gonna keep you on here for a little bit. We're just running some tests on our equipment and that type of thing, and we just like if we could keep you talking for another minute or so, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What are you
So,
talking about? So we're
where
gonna talk
exactly
about
are you
masculine,
located right now, Slutty Spirit?
I am located here.
You
Is a spirit. You mean talking on
Yes.
the phone? So, yeah, cool.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
because
and,
you're on the phone.
and I'm located inside of each one of you as well. If
So
you
we
think
all
about
have a slutty spirit deep inside of us.
it. Yes, we have to
That's
awaken.
That's kind of
We have to
philosophic. I like that.
awaken our
Yeah.
slutty spirit.
That's a good analogy.
Ye-
I enjoy that one.
Yeah. I do. I think I want a little bit of the slutty spirit inside of me now that we've been talking about it.
That's
for a
nice.
Little
We
bit.
can go upstairs whenever you want.
Okay, well, this has been way too offside, and we've had you on for over a minute and a half after you wanted to leave, and I think the police should be at your door any second now. So, if you, we'll just cut you off right there. Thank you very much. Okay, wow. That was the Slutty Spirit.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
I don't. How do we end up with people that should be in jail on our
I don't
show?
know, man. It looks like someone goes to jail and give our phone to these people around there, man.
I sincerely apologize to anybody that was listening to that. I'm sorry we let it go on so long, but we actually got a call from the police about halfway through, asking us to keep the Slutty Spirit on the line so they could try to locate where he or it was, and hopefully they ended up getting him. So yeah, there was a lot of wrong with what went on there, and I hate to end on notes like that, but I think we'll leave it there. Everybody can kind of swallow the puke in their mouths and walk away from this broadcast, feeling a little bit worse, but also better about themselves because they are not that person. And
exactly.
And we hope that we have better listeners in the future because, man, our callers have demonstrated a
terrible taste.
Yeah, terrible taste, and to be a demographic that is pretty despicable all the way around.
Anyways, it was really nice having.
Thank you.
Yeah, Oz, thanks for joining us, and we'll have you back for sure. And that is it for the Slackline. Thank you very much for joining up. All right.